Yeah, what's
Yeah.
the FBZ hero?
I don't
Sanking?
know. They'll ban out. They've banned out already a lot of his heroes. So
FBZ Kunkka?
FBZ Conquer. I hope they.
No, I want the Kunkka to go mid because like
Yeah.
what they did before that was really good. It was Ember Mirana, but it was versus a Coddle, right? But against this Lina too, you just get an X on her into arrow, and you punish the strength of this Lina being a bully in lane for her weakness of just being a very squishy hero, and she'll die every time to that combination. Which means FBZ needs to be on a hero that does not need a lot of farm priority, and they're okay with the Mirana leaving the lane constantly. Like not like the Razor that has to be. It's a carry off lane, right? And
Yeah.
I think FBZ as a general, as an offlaner, his strength is the fact that he likes to be a little sacked and just be that stun for the game.
I think it's a really good point because generally you do see Tim's, like, you know, the talk with Boom is always Tim's rotating mid for runes, giving Yopaj the best game possible. And yeah, like you say, FBZ just not playing the offlane carries that other regions like to go for.
I just don't know what hero fits that because you think firstly of Timbersaw usually, right? But I don't know how much I like Timber into Enigma, Lina, Snapfire already, and
I don't like Timber though. I think that is an offlane carry kind of.
yeah.
Like I would rather him be on like the Blink Stun or like
Same.
The
I would like him on.
Clockwork
I'd like him on a
Sanking has a
Sanking.
rough. It has a rough lane, but I
But
don't mind
yeah.
the Sanking here.
That's my problem,
Yeah.
right? I would like to see Sanking. However, Sanking people consider him to be
Yeah.
pretty nerfed and not very good, and also he's not going to be able to lane alone at all.
Yeah.
And they do have last overall pick, so they do get to see the carry.
The Clockwork ban was smart, I think. Because
I mean,
we've seen
yeah.
FBZ play that.
Yeah.
The question is, will Boom do carry Tiny? I guess it's good versus
true.
Enigma, it's fine. So, I assume Tiny might be a
Oh.
carry here. Does
Where else
FBZ
can it
play?
go?
I think go
Offlane
offlane.
Tiny?
Do you
Yeah.
think they would play offlane?
I don't
Tiny?
think
True.
so.
I don't know.
But
I guess the other option is offlane Kunkka with like a mid Tiny, but I don't think you want mid Tiny into Lina. Like you've already got the Kunkka, that does fine.
Yeah.
another FBZ hero that I know he plays it and could work well is like some Dragonite in the offlane. Get a You can leave that hero alone. It's fine as long as you just pull the wave for it.
They ban Razor, guys. Did you ever bring up your stats? It's very
Did not.
important.
Did not. I was gonna maybe leave it to the next game if there is one, or the end of the series. But we
Okay.
can talk about
No,
it.
no, we'll leave it as a
Alright.
special surprise.
Special
Viewers,
surprise.
stay tuned for next game draft.
We've got
Wait,
Razor
what if they
stats.
lose?
I'm sure they're going to be so hyped to
But that's
like
why I was like
stick
maybe
around
end
for
of.
Razor stats.
Yeah, Razor.
Oh,
Oh my
no.
God, nothing gets people going more than Razor stats.
Oi, yo.
Talk about it for Eastern Europe too, you know?
That's true. I
Doesn't
mean,
have
there
to
are
happen
some
now.
This
decent
Stick around for
stats.
Eastern Europe.
This is
Mm.
insane amounts of kill potential, by the way. Jug, Snap, like they need to be really careful with the hero they pick right now.
10 seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
It's hard because like you want to punish this Jug.
5
but
seconds
Do you really
remaining.
want to play? I mean, there's Slardar in the pool. Yes, no.
They
yes,
should pick
there's Slardar.
Tusk off lane, guys. Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want to win the lane, Slardar looks great, honestly. But
You're a little bit of a.
Will they win the lane?
Faith restored in Slaughter, right? After seeing it.
A little bit, but I
Yeah.
liked it with Io. I don't know how much I like it solo.
Okay.
You have a Mirana, but the crush is not long enough to land the arrow, and
well, you have to bash then crush, and just mainly give
yeah.
Slardar lane. So like it kind of contradicts what I wanted them to do, though. I kind of want to see FBC sacked, but like you don't want your last pick to get sacked. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But I still want them to do it, I think. So maybe don't go for the Slardar if they want to win, of course, right? Because FBC to me, it's just like, especially even after that Razor game, he doesn't seem like he has the mentality to play these carry off lanes. Like he's a beast when he plays Pango and Mars, and he gets an early blink, and his tempo control is just really good, and I think what Boom needs. But he's probably thinking to himself, I'm last pick, I see my matchup, maybe I should pick something that punishes this.
Okay. Oh, I was waiting
But will he?
for gods to chime in there and be like, "Yeah, you've sold me, Fio."
Whoa.
There we go. FBZ's being sacked.
Oh.
They last pick a carry. I assume it's a carry.
Nah, that's gonna be off lane. Come on.
That's just a bad pick, I think.
Oh, it's
Okay.
mid tiny.
All right, well,
I'll
we'll come
flank
back.
Kunkka.
Off lane Kunkka.
We'll come back to us on the panel after all the players have picked their hero. But for now, we're going to bring in the two other special men in the Dota scene, and it's I don't know where I was going with that. You know, I was
Special
trying to
little
hype them up.
boys.
Special. God, they're so special to us. We just
We're
love them here on
special
Beyond the
dudes.
Summit. It's Mike and John. Wow, if you guys didn't know, they're going to be casters again for Game 2. John, you can start impart some knowledge on these analysts here.
I mean, I feel like I prefer Talon's draft. I think Boom has a good answer.
and with this kind of draft from Boom, they're going to have to play aggressive, right? You guys talked about it. You've got the X arrow combo. We have to see Boom shine in that. They've got great answers for the black hole down the line with Skem. So they've got their bases covered, but we have to see them kind of hit the floor running here.
I have never seen Jackie play +1 Bloodseeker before, so I'm very concerned here for Boom Esports. And I think the hero is complete trash anyway, even if he does play it. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Talon's draft. I'll be frank. I do not believe in this Bloodseeker at all.
Oh, okay. Well, they're both in for Talon. You got your prediction right last time, right, Mike?
No, he was wrong.
Yes, I did. Of course,
he was wrong.
I don't actually remember. I don't
He
actually
was
remember.
We were all right with him.
Okay, I don't actually remember, so I'm
Let
just
us
gonna
all
say
down.
it didn't count. It didn't count because I don't remember, and that's the rules. I don't make them; they're just the rules. The question before.
All right, wait.
Yes.
Here's the logic. I bet for Boom, right?
Yes.
Would I ever bet against Boom? And I agreed with Mike. Therefore, he has to have been with Boom.
Oh, you're so true. Still don't remember it though.
Okay.
I believe you 100%. The question though is not going to be who's going to win game 2.
Okay.
It is who's going to get more refresher orbs.
Boom.
Yep.
I mean, definitely Boom.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Oh, wow, we're all in
There's some smart
Boom.
people.
I mean, I don't
Boom
know.
are gonna win.
This isn't a good refresher.
Whoever buys
game, to be
more
honest.
refreshers wins, and if Boom's buying more refreshers.
Well, game 2, we're jumping into it. Mike John, same question. Which team is going to get more refresher orbs?
Well, before that, Jonathan, I'd like to say, if any of the bosses at BTS are listening, let's just get a new contract for Nat for next year already. I like her hosting a lot. I think she's the best panelist by far. We'll get Nat a new contract right now. Double her pay as well. Just double everything. Still, refresh orbs, Jonathan? I'm going to say 2. 2.
I'd say Boom will have more overall. I don't think Talon's going to be gunning for much outside of Enigma refresh. So probably not as much in anyone else. Speaking of Talon's lineup, they are going with a KP offlane Marcy. We were talking about that a little bit, right? Like you said, you weren't a big fan of the KP Enigma here, Mike. We've seen the KP Marcy before when Marcy was just added in. You feeling more confident this one? Because I recall the last time we saw KP play offlane Marcy, it didn't look so hot.
It was questionable to say the least. I mean, the Pos 3 Marcy is always one of those things that I think it's KP and Zhao Yu in particular that like to run this Pos 3 Marcy, and I dare say we've seen it lose a lot more than we've seen it win as well. So I'm kind of on the same boat as you. Whether this Pos 3 Marcy is going to do much this game, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's for sure. By the way, John, I'm very surprised they're letting you cast, considering you are a streamer for Talon, by the way. The bias is very, very apparent. Shout out to everyone that was spamming that in chat earlier. The mods could not stop us all. They kept threatening us, John, but they can't ban all of us. And eventually,
I had a good time with that one.
If we spam that enough, I'm not sure who the original poster was, John, but if we spam that enough, maybe we can get a cast that's not so biased. Imagine that.
Absolutely. You know, it's not like I switched into the Boom shirt. It's not like I'm good friends with everyone here. No, definitely all in and Talon every single time. Especially in that last draft, you know, I saw that pause 1 Doom. I knew we were in. Talon had it 100%. There were no issues with scaling. Savage was on point with every Doom. He didn't miss a single one, even if there were a couple links. It didn't matter. All the confidence there. Full bias here, Mike.
Absolutely.
It's in my name.
It is in your name, Jonathan. Quick pause out, but we are going to have a go-in ready here from 23 Savage, and we go to game number 2. John, these drafts, I mean, you kind of did lean towards Talon. I also lean towards Talon, though. To be fair, as much as I like to trash the Pos 1 Bloodseeker, we have seen it work a lot, especially with RSG. My main issue is that I can't remember seeing Jackie play this Pos as Pos 1. That's
well, Mike, you gotta look all the way back to Motivate Trust. You know, all the way back then, he was playing a lot of Pos 1 Bloodseeker every now and again. So it's something he is comfy on, and think he should be able to perform. Although
it's gonna be fine. Skem gonna cop a fair bit of damage here. In fact, KP, he can keep chasing. Pretty nice movement speed, but Jackie's gonna be there to back up Skem just in case. You really brought me back some memories there, John, with the Motivate Trust reference. Oh, the good old days. Those were some good old days. It's kind of cool to see how far the players have come, right? Like Jackie gets part of Boom. You've got Q and Talon as well. You know, I still feel like the other players in Motivate should easily be in some Div 1 teams as well, but they've gone a little bit quiet as of late. Hopefully they pop up soon, but those were some good old days, Motivate Trust.
Definitely were, Mike. Still, we've got to see how well Jackie and Q can play off against each other once more in the lane. Q is playing that Enigma, KP's on the Marcy this time around. Scam's on his Winter Wyvern, and Jackie is on that Bloodseeker we were just mentioning. I think the key timing, you know, outside of laning, this should be rather even in farm. You're dealing with just demonic conversion from Q. There might be some cheeky rebound plays you could do with, say, the Eidolons down the line. You can position them really far and give KP an interesting angle to jump in, but the kill threat doesn't feel massive. It does feel like Jackie should be able to find farm. I think the key timing for Jackie is going to be, you know, typical Maelstrom. Down the line, his scaling with shards is massive. So I think you can't just discount the Bloodseeker. It can be a big beast once it gets a couple of items in. Maelstrom and Basher with BKB is really big one into shards. You're kind of set to scale into the late game there. So I think you still have a lot to show on that Bloodseeker down the line.
Absolutely. Of course, in the mid lane, Yopaj and Makoto are going to be going at it. Of course, last game around, Makoto actually ends up finding a solo kill in Yopaj, and we didn't get to see quite how it happened, but see if he can have a bit of a repeat performance here in the mid lane as Makoto really carrying them through last game around. And well, against the Idol, it's never easy, but the mid matchup is not so easy for Yopaj right now. You're playing mid Tiny against mid laner. With the hero like Tiny with 0 base armor, it's never going to be fun trying to go up against the laner. And as you can see, Makoto always going to be around just abusing Yopaj here, getting as much damage out as possible. I'll see how the Tiny gets through this mid lane, but it certainly is not going to be that easy.
No, it's a pretty tough lane. Trying to be aggressive up top as well, but that mid matchup should definitely favor Makoto. And he even manages to get a D-ward on the high ground. So feeling great on that mid Lina up top. Again, we've got Tim's on his special Marani. You love to call him the Filipino sniper here, Mike. Let's see if he'll line up his shots. Does get the deny on the Obs warrant, so feeling good here. Hyde, of course, on the snap, along with Sag on the jug. They do have some cheeky cookie plays they can do here. Cookie on top of FBZ, nice kill to line up. But FBZ is fairly tanky. Already has the one bracer up, going for the second. Not going to be easy to kill off, but Hyde finds an angle to the back to trade with Tim's.
Hyde, has he gone too far? The torrent's not going to land. Very nice juke to the left side by Hyde. See Hyde, ex-teammates with FBZ, John, able to understand how the mind of the CEO works and does avoid the torrent.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? Like, so many ex-teammates playing against each other. Like, you've got 2 Boom members on Talon, right? Hyde and Makoto were around for, like, literally years. I believe 2-3 years on that stack before, along with Kezgoot and, of course, Mr. Dreamusel. So, they understand each other in and out. I talked to the players about it. It doesn't feel like that's a major factor, right? You grow as a team with the distance apart, playstyles change, people change, so not as much insight to take, but...
Mid lane, Dragon Slave's going to connect, but he barely survives. Salve up here from the Tiny. Skem's going to rotate, trying to harass down Makoto, but they don't have another way of slowing him down. Skem actually went for a first point in Cold Embrace at level 2, so it doesn't have the Splinter Blast, and that's a very interesting build up there from Skem, going for that level 2 Cold Embrace, but I suppose maybe just required it during the laning stage. Still makes it very hard to rotate to try and find a gank here onto Makoto.
Yeah, and then Makoto's pretty happy with the resources being expended, frees up the bot lane a little bit more for KP to just find some farm. He's not being cut off from any runes just yet. He does lose out in the water rune, but you're still feeling fine. You've got the stick on hand, the full wand on hand at the very least to try and get some regen going your way. And it's a very static game so far, Mike. Some movements here and there, but so far, 4.5 minutes in, just kind of farming up. We already have Q jungling though, so he is leaving KP solo down bot, not impacting the Marcy too badly, and they're not being punished. Q is just finding farm and solo EXP in that jungle.
I mean, absolutely. Like, KP, I'm sure he enjoys his solo XP, right? Because you've almost got like a secondary pos too here on the Marcy if you can get this solo XP in the bot lane, and he has decent ways of staying within the lane as well. Like, you've got sidekick available, can kind of give him a bit of a reset if he has a full creep wave, and yeah, let the Enigma farm. This is what Talon want to do, and if they can afford to be greedy, just why the hell not?
Yeah, again, we talked about Boom having to be aggressive. The panel pointed out you want something that can be left alone, so you can play with that Mirana combination, which unfortunately is stuck in the top lane with FBZ. So even having this off laner that you can leave alone in the Kunkka, you don't have the setup for Tims to kind of go for the hours, unless you can maybe line up for the Avalanche on Yopaj, but Mikado's been very distant, just playing the distance game really well. And again, they're just kind of farming up on both sides. It does feel like Boom's getting a little bit more, You're seeing them with a slight net worth lead. Yopaj has managed to find a lot of room now on his Tiny to grow. Does manage to overtake at least in the CS. But side of Talon don't seem too upset. Again, they're a team that's maybe known for being a little bit more patient, looking towards that late game a little bit more often than other teams. So considering that, I think they're fine.
Very calm game so far. Mid lane, Skem does show up to try and get that DD rune snipe, but Hyde does actually end up taking it on the Snapfire, so not able to give it over to Makoto, but does at least grab it for himself, and will actually run right back into Skem here, so might be able to get a bit of damage off with that double damage available. In fact, has a cookie in one if he can reach, but he believes he's out of range for that, so won't bother. Still no first blood being drawn quite yet, and you kind of ask yourself how this kind of quiet game, who it really favors. A Savage top lane. As I say, it ends up going down. It's FBZ and Tim's able to secure the kill with the X-Arrow combination. That's a big first blood to secure.
Yeah, Savage doesn't spin. He had mana. It was off cooldown. Doesn't maybe expect the Marauders to be around with the arrow, and Boom does manage to get the game going their way. They start to scout out Q, farming in the jungle as well, disrupting that Enigma's greedier style. And this is what we needed to see from Boom. It's still not the quickest start in the world, but it's ramping up to it. Just get that aggression going with Tim's, start playing with the X setup, and just be aggressive.
So only 1-0, 7 minutes in now. Just trying to find out exactly who's building what, but Makoto at the very least has already queued up a BKB on that laner. He's wanting it against the mid-tiny, which makes enough sense, right? Because once Yopaj has the blink up, the avalanche toss, we understand how much damage that combination does deal, and Makoto just not messing around on this game. Wants the BKB immediately. Obviously very effective against the Kunkka and Mirana as well. And doesn't really require too much damage on the laner to get the game started, right? Like, you are looking to try and farm into the later stage of the game as well as Makoto. So just having that defensive kind of capability to allow you to run this greedier draft and just make it work. It's quite nice here for Makoto, as they are going to find Skem trying to fight over this 8-minute power rune timing, but it is going to be up top, so Yopaj does get a little bit lucky on that mid-tiny as he's able to run up and secure it for himself. But again, I wonder what kind of impact Yopaj does have in this mid-tiny now, considering how fast the BKB should be coming up.
He still has a pretty good window. I think even if you don't catch out the Lina, you're going to be able to punish that Enigma, who's not going to have too much farm. It's still a support in the jungle.
Omni was committed. Tim's leaps away from it. Now Savage maybe going too far for this. He'll spin for it, and he will just TP right out. Very confident play from Savage. Just abusing the phase boots movement speed to secure their kill onto Tim's, and even bot lane. Jackie, he's been caught out. KP right on top. They do get the rupture though on Yopaj. Nice rotation. Does save the day for the Bloodseeker. KP maybe getting a little bit too excited there on the Marcy once he hit level 6.
Yeah, not quite respecting the TP potential out from Boom, and Hyde doesn't have a little shredder to amp up the damage with that minus armor, and no.
Hyde, maybe a little bit too early on the high 5, but no, he'll cookie down to the low ground. Tim's, arrow, not going to be on the mark. Can't chase either, as you did have Makoto around the corner necessary if he was going to try and go in, and Makoto's going to be just fine. Everyone else going to be just fine, as Boom looking for their third kill. Won't find anything quite yet, and well, Talon again, John. I think they're more than happy to play a slow game, as they do run right into FBZ, popping the Laguna, and FBZ, he's just not that tanky when you're surrounded by 3 heroes, and he just immediately ends up dropping.
And that's a pretty big kill for Talon to find. FBZ is highest net worth on the map, so that's an important kill for them to hand over onto Talon, or for Talon to find. And that does, again, ramp up that BKB time we were looking for here from Mikado. Even KP's going to be happy enough to get his own, I believe, full Soul Ring out. So he's going to have more mana to play with. They are giving so much room out from Boom's end. Like, Jackie's just had a completely free bot lane now. Maelstrom almost done. The Bloodseeker's going to hit those early spikes you talked about here, Mike, and if you don't watch out, this here is a beast. You've got the shard scaling, you've got the basher, BKB is going to be huge. The rupture to kind of stop the Marcy from chasing you down is always going to be annoying for KP as well. And they're just kind of allowing it to happen. Again, we always talk about Jackie finding that farm. This is a excellent start for him on the Bloodseeker.
Bloodseeker is one of those pos ones that I think I have a legitimate bias against, John. Like, no matter how good this hero is, I'll always call it trash. I just hate Bloodseeker. Like, it's not like Tinker or Arc Warden where I actually hate them, but I just don't like Bloodseeker. It just goes all the way back to Dota All-Stars, right? With that really terrible model that Bloodseeker had, if you remember. But it had a nice sound to it when you right-click people back in those days, and now, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the hero, John. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like it. You know, I did enjoy Dota 1 Bloodseeker. I love the model. Yeah. And I think it's still fine right now. You know, again, it scales pretty well. I mean, it's just not... It's not the most straightforward hero to think about in scaling. I think that's why it still has weaknesses you can overcome before those item timings come out. It's fairly easy to just TP out, as we've always seen be the issue with Bloodseeker when he's trying to chase someone down on low HP. Especially in this case because Savage has innate spell immunity, so he doesn't care for too much here from Boom's end. Boom, though, gonna go for a smoke play. Yopaj does have his full blink up, so this is the moment when Boom can get really aggressive. Even got level 6 on Skem. Could force some big team fights here.
Oh, KP, he's gonna run right into Tim's. The X is gonna be there. It's a very aggressive jump in from the Marcy, right behind the bottom tier 1 tower. You know, John, this is partially why I don't like Pos 3 Marcy, because you just get so confident once you have Unleash available. You just want to try and find kills on your own, which you can do. Problem is, you end up going too deep like that. And now Skem, he's going rather deep himself onto Hyde. But he has found the Snapfire. Problem is, he won't be able to lock him down. Yopaj, even with the blink up, cannot close the gap. So Hyde's going to be just fine.
Yeah. They're still finding that aggression out from Boom, though. It's not in the big targets they'd want, but they're keeping KP severely down. This Marcy's bottom network core, barely above Q, who's been jungling this entire time. And that, again, that's something that we've seen Talon kind of flounder at when they've run that offlane Marcy. It just doesn't feel like KP manages to find that item timing. He is still working towards that blink here, though, Mike. But even then, with this kind of Marcy play, you'd want Blink and BKB. It's going to take a lot of farm, and considering this farm split up from Talon, you're also building up in the Enigma. Someone's got to give, and it looks like Talon's more than happy to sacrifice KP, but again, that just throws the Marcy's timings off. In comparison, FBZ still up there in farm. Another smoke out from Boom. They really do want to play with that Blink, and it's important for them to start finding those kills with that item.
Well, they saw Savage mid lane, but he's already gone through the creep wave, so Boom instead will try to go to the Dire triangle, but nobody's there. Maybe just assuming they'd find Makoto on the mid laner. He is in the Dire jungle instead, sharing the farm with Savage at the moment. Not really something you'd expect, but they are just more than happy to share that farm between the Pos 1 and 2. And Savage, he backed off at the perfect moment. He'll return into the mid lane now. Meanwhile, Boom, they have headed down bot to try and catch KP once again on the Marcy. They will start with a Splinter Blast, but KP now realizing something isn't right, tries to back off, but Yopaj right on target with the Avalanche toss into the arrow. That'll be another death for the Pod 3 Marcy. Hyde is unable to help out whatsoever on the Snapfire.
Yeah, it does start to beg the question, is this really the hero you want to keep down? Because the gold is still slowly but surely trickling in for that blink on KP, and Q is just farming. Like, he's going to have a very, very early raid pack coming out, mitigating a lot of that burst that Boom will want to play with. The BKB from Kato's nearly done, and Savage is also almost at the point with Maelstrom where he can start to equalize with Jackie, who has had a fairly free time as well, considering all the space he's been given out. But Talon, they're still managing to work that out. It's a very conscious choice to sacrifice. Q does manage to back off from Jackie chasing up here. You still worry about the Blood, and you still worry about this Tiny just going into the Echo Saber time. Early BKB as well for FBZ. Boom has much more to play with at this point in game, and Talon still has to keep this stall game out for the greedy draft.
I can appreciate what Skem's doing here on the Wyvern, John, just kind of following Savage around and not allowing him to just farm in peace. Even taking the large Centaur away from Savage there, just being very annoying against the Jug. And plus Juggernaut, not one of the real fastest farmers in the world. Still doesn't have his Maelstrom up either, but we'll have it up very soon. It's in Boom's best interest to try and slow down Savage as much as possible and just keep letting Jackie farm out of control. And that's exactly what Jackie's doing right now. Still about 1k ahead of Savage, and he's going to be working on towards the BKB after the Maelstrom's picked up, and well, naturally he does already have it. And once you have the BKB, you are free to start joining these team fights as this Bloodseeker. Start getting involved with your team. Definitely not one of the heroes you imagined just to sit back and farm, is now bot lane Tim's. very deep. Cookie's gonna land. Dust is out, but leap towards the left side as now Yopaj just rotating even the curse. Hold down Makoto. Make sure they get the kill, and they will. In fact, an arrow landing on Hyde. Oh, there's a sniper in the house, John. Landed perfectly and completely blind from Tim's. They'll find a secondary target, and it's onto the bottom tier 1 tower for Boom.
Those are definitely kills they need. Slow down the Lina, prevent that BKB time from coming out too soon, start to snowball off the back of the fact that Jackie can just play early. It's a Bloodseeker with Maelstrom into a BKB. You don't have too much to worry about here for Jackie.
Mid.
Just rip through that bot tower and start to open up the triangle.
Savage, do you want to Omni? He's got a leap charge on Tim, so he won't yet as Yopaj. Gonna go for the Avalanche, but a quick spin TP away from Savage. Just no playing around. Oh, wait a minute. He's cancelled it off. He'll go for the Omni. This is really rough for Savage. He's gonna try to make a run for it. Does he actually get out of this? Yopaj on the chase with the Avalanche toss. Where was he TPing to? And why was it so long?
That was way too long. Maybe he was trying to TP to a lane just to farm. Maybe working onto bot. Yeah,
I believe it was the bot T2 jump.
Yeah, they were all TPing in there from Talon Center to regroup, so...
Oh, Makoto!
Let's get that opening and more.
Sorry to interrupt again, John. Makoto. He's going to get taken out.
Nice.
Oh, Japoi, he's on fire now. 2-0-4 on the Tiny, but finding both pos 1 and 2 in the last 30 seconds. That is really detrimental here to Talon.
Yeah, and the greedy draft of Talon right now just isn't paying off in the way they'd want it to. They expended Black Hole trying to go for a play, didn't manage to find anything. They have the rate packed up in queue, so the investment on the Enigma is technically online, but it just doesn't feel like it's big enough. The BKB on Mikado is great, but without the travels, he can't gap close as well, can't work lanes as well. And Boom just has everything. They've got a Tiny with Blink that's going for kills. Echo Saber almost done. They've got a Kunkka with BKB at 17.5 minutes in. And a Bloodseeker is also going to have Maelstrom BKB at around the same time, pushing for the mid. Talon has nothing to play with. No Omni, no Black Hole. Hold on.
They go. They've got the Kunkka. FBZ still going to have his BKB available. Does move in onto KP with the X into the boat, but the rebound and Cookie was there. So KP, very nice timing on that rebound, is going to be just fine, as now they'll spot out the Tiny, but Yopaj, he's fine to back his way out with the Blink. And again, Talon, they are still running a greedier style of draft, so it's back to the farming game for them. They've got to try and bide their time. So I think Talon will realize how powerful Boom are right now, and so you just don't want to fight against the real power spike that's going on here with Boom.
Just feels really dangerous for Talon. If this game continues to be super passive while Boom's finding this aggression, it doesn't feel like this kind of greedy draft just bounces back. I think Boom has a really clear angle, just constantly undergoing again with Yopaj here.
Yeah, Yopaj, he sees a free kill down at bot lane. Toss up, arrow, not gonna land though, the range creep. It did not go down, so the rebound was there, as now Hyde. They'll at least find a Snapfire, but a real shame there that range creep ends up surviving. I think Yopaj was secretly hoping the toss would kill it off, but it wasn't within range.
Yeah, and Talon manages to sacrifice the support. Still, Boom keeps going. They don't have long cooldowns to wait for.
Well, they found the Enigma now. Nice arrow to follow up with the Avalanche toss, and that'll be another kill for the Tiny. And now mid lane, Boom Esports again feeling very powerful. Might move right in. They even have the BKB of Jackie coming in on the courier now. That's going to be a very scary team fight for Talon to try and take. They won't even bother trying.
Yeah, they've got to just farm. And Talon has no team fight. Talon has no tools on hand to kind of play off the back of, and Boom understands that. They just keep running down. Again, no big ults. Rupture is great, but not even necessary. Neither is the Winter's Curse here to go up against Talon. 4K lead for Boom very early on. They've got really good map control on hand. They have great aggressive wards. Talon, they need to find a way to stall this game. I don't know how. It feels like it's almost nearly impossible to kind of look for the angle to stall as long as Boom plays around his tempo. I mean, what are you going to do about FBZ popping his BKB on? He's only used it one time so far. Jackie has his. The Bloodseeker is going to run around working onto that Basher here, Mike. You don't have much to stop that, at least not at the current state of the game for Talon.
I mean, the thing is, right, with Jackie, like, I doubted the Bloodseeker pick, but I can't doubt the fact that he farms so damn fast. And this man, no matter what you give him, he finds a way to hit creeps and just do it faster than the enemy heroes every single time. There's now Boom. Into the Roshan pit they go. Aegis, of course, is up. First Roshan of the game. And Talon, they just can't afford to try and fight. They have to let this one go down for free. They've got no information around the Roshan pit. And even if they did, John, I just don't think they can force a fight. Not right now.
No, they have no angle. They have Black Hole, but no Blink and Q, no BKB. Not very easy for him to find that angle. And they're just forced to surrender the objectives. As we've seen, you know, they give up their tier 1s. They're dropping kills one by one as long as it's not a huge clump up. They're just making sacrifices to try and stall. Boom, though, doesn't feel like they're going to wait here.
Nah, Yopaj, he'll find the Snapfire once again. Mega kill streak now for him, finding his 5th kill of the game. And they really just don't need to slow down. Like, you might look to get a bit of a reset here on Jackie, but he could just always heal up with the Blood Rage, and eventually you just keep moving. Top lane, they'll see KP here on the Marcy. FBZ might try to set up, but he is kind of all alone right now, so KP probably would have been just fine. They are sticking around, however, protecting the siege creep, so they might try to apply pressure onto that tier 2 top tower, and that they will. FBZ will get started. Those KP does show himself, but now the rupture into the Blood Right is going to hold him down. KP, where do you go from here? He'll keep running, but eventually will die. He will just bleed out to the rupture of Jackie. And that tier 2 top tower, there's just no defending it right now for Talon.
They just have no fight. Right, like their team fight isn't there. They need that BKB on Q. They need a lot more farm out on Mikoto. They need a lot more farm onto Savage as well. With a 6k deficit to play against up against Boom, Boom just has complete control of the map. They can run wherever they want. They can look for these pickoffs. They can keep building up. Yopaj is about to get into the BKB next, just really lacking the recipe gold, and that's about it. And for Talon, I just don't see any itemization that helps him out here. Sanj and Yash is up on Savage. That's nice. You have more stats, a little bit of stat resist as well, though.
Alright, he's going to cop it. The sniper found him once again, John. Yopaj, he'll move in and take care of it, though. KP, nice disposed to get started. They also have Black Hole, though. Q won't throw it out yet.
Ooh.
They've got Yopaj. That's a great pickup here for Talon. KP sets up and wants a bit more. In he goes with the Moonlight Shadow. It's going to make it rather hard to fight here. As Boom Esports, they'll back off, but KP, he'll go back in, finding Jackie on the Bloodseeker. In with the Mortimer's Kisses now, but Jackie, he does have BKB, he does have Aegis up. In fact, now they have Q trapped up in a torrent, but he's going to be just fine to back himself out. So Talon, they'll find the mid-tiny, they'll get the kill streak off him, and that'll be enough for them. They'll be happy.
That is a pretty big kill, all things considered. Yopaj was worth 590 plus 357 on the AoE. So that kind of keeps him in the game, but I don't think Boom's too upset about that. They just reset. They've got the blink up and skim, so they can look for some clean angles on the Winter's Curse now. And Talon is still kind of playing on the back foot. They use Laguna there. They use the Kisses. At the least, the Kisses means you don't have that long-range reach. You don't have that combination with a Black Hole that you'd want to pull off here. And for Boom, again, no long cooldowns. They just run back into the triangle, take control, shove in a tier 2 with Jackie, force out the early Fortify. This could line up for a high ground push if they see the opportunity with no defense coming out from Talon. And Talon just go back into the jungle. They find a big kill, they can't do much about it, just go back to farming.
Absolutely. Tier 2 bottom tower, not going to last too long as Jackie just... He feels so safe with his secondary life, there's just no reason for him to back off. Instead, he'll show on the map and let the rest of his team smoke across. They will head into that dire jungle. FBZ, he'll frontline for the team. Q has been spotted. They saw the Eidolons, and it should be a nice, easy kill, though. Hyde also getting caught out here on the Snapfire. Savage does show up to try and help out, but Hyde's already gone. Meanwhile, Q does manage to TP away on the Enigma, so happy days for him, but Hyde, not so much.
Yeah, they're just sacrificing, right? Like, you don't want to get these massive losses on Talon. Just sacrifice one hero, allow Boom to play the pickoff game, and just stall out for your bigger cores, stall out for these item timings. Hold on.
They're still fighting into Black Hole. Q may get caught immediately, however, unless they can find Savage, but they'll go for the Enigma first. Arrow's gonna land, and that'll be your Enigma gone. The Savage, Rupture is there. He'll try to BKB out and should be able to make it out as Japoi can't break the gap and does not have toss available anyway. No way to cancel. They'll take the 2 support kills for Boom. but they could keep going for this mid-tier 2 tower, John. They have a siege creep and they have plenty of damage.
Yeah, they've got everything they need to go high ground. Jackie's not under threat, just life steals off for the Blood Rage, and just go straight up. They still have Aegis only for 15 seconds, but that's just a free reset for Jack if they want it.
He has BKB, but he might need to pop it, but the arrow is gonna land. Oh, Makoto not reacting fast enough that time. Once the arrow connects, there's no survival. His mid lane, Savage, he thinks he's safe, but the Orchid is going to silence him up right into the boat. He'll cop the bash, and now the double torrent coming out into the curse. Hold everyone down. Nobody dying quite yet, though, but KP, he might be the first one. So X him back. Torrent, it will connect and eventually take him down. It does save Savage. At the very least, the Junk does get his way out. But they are onto the high ground now, Boom Esports. They want to keep this going. They understand how powerful they are at the moment. Talon, they'll keep trying to fight. Toss back, not quite there from Yopaj yet. He won't find the angle. Instead, it's back onto the tier 3 tower for Boom. There's Talon. Again, it just feels like they've got no angle to try and force a fight.
No. I mean, they've got Black Hole, but how do you use it without that BKB for Q? Savage only has the spin to play. Mikado is going to be back up. That could help with a wave clear in the defense. Just feels like it's a bit too late. They're forced to use Kisses just to hold back. They'll still lose the melee racks, and Boom's still more than happy to take that objective back off. They've got this game under control. 17-4, 11k lead for Boom. Talon still needs so much more farm. Like, Mikado's Lina just hasn't been off, and smoke into the moonlight here.
Yeah, it could be rough, John. They do have a BKB timing on Q, so it's a nice power spike for the Enigma now, as you haven't got the greatest way of cancelling that off apart from the Winter's Curse, which is back up in 5 seconds, and Skem does have a Blink Dagger up as well, so maybe you can cancel. And Talon, they're not going to find anyone anyway. They head down towards the south, hang around that Radiant Jungle, and I suppose it's just a nice way to move across the map and keep that farm going here for Talon. I guess you can't really hope for a team fight right now anyway. 11k behind, you just need some farm. Meanwhile, Boom, though, just hanging around Roshan pit, waiting for the next Roshan. No rush for them. No need to throw the game back Talon's way. I mean, keep in mind, John, that game 1, it did feel like it was Boom's game to lose, and Talon did take it. I'm sure Boom, they won't allow a repeat in game 2.
Yeah, they're going for the smoke play. They don't want to sit too easy. They want to get some aggression, not allow Talon to get that build up. Gonna find a good angle down south, but there are wards to spot them. Talon should be able to back off. Hold on.
Yopaj, he'll break the smoke on KP, but immediate blink away from the Marcy, and I don't believe they actually saw KP there at all. So Talon immediately just teeping across the map to the other side. Again, just trying to avoid Boom Esports and get a bit more net worth going on their own heroes right now. Smoke up, though. They're going to try and force a fight. Again, if they can land a nice black hole here from Q, could be the real game changer throughout this game, too. It's Talon. Will show up mid lane. Arrow is going to land from Tims. No help around him right now. It's just Tims, but KP. He'll go for a dispose out. Winter's Curse is there, however. Scam. He holds them all down. You'll still lose Tims here on the Mirana. So Talon, they should be okay with this. And they will be. Boom, they back their way out. They don't find the opening they wanted. And Talon, suddenly they have a bit more time to get that farm going.
Yeah, they've got BKBs already up on KP and Q. So every single time they see that Winter's Curse down could be their opportunity to try and make him play. Fairly on edge. I don't think that was a expected play for Talon, baiting with Savage, but they find something for it. Boom, and they're still in a strong position. Like, losing Tims is not the biggest loss in the world. Talon, again, stalling out a little bit more, have one part of the Scotty on Savage. Still needs so much more time to get that fully done. You do have the Lincolns on Mikado. That could be a great saving tool to just enable the Enigma to get that full black hole off, or just to save yourself from, say, toss place, X place here from the side of Boom. We'll see how much more Talon can get out, but again, Boom is still in the driver's seat here, Mike. With that 10k lead, all the gold Jackie has, Basher Scotty up, going into the Ag Shard next, and locking in this Bloodseeker in the middle of a prolonged fight, it's going to be pretty tough.
Absolutely. I mean, Talon, Only 1 Rax down for now. 30 minutes in. Again, they did make a comeback last game, so you can't doubt these guys whatsoever. Problem is, like, this Bloodseeker, he just won't slow down. Jackie just so far ahead. We know once he's got that lead, he doesn't intend on slowing down anytime soon. Meanwhile, Talon prepping for the next Roshan, it seems, but it's 40 seconds away. So a little bit early to the party, but it seems like they just want to hold this position. Keep in mind, just a few minutes ago, they were stuck on their own high ground, so they best just stick around here. In fact, never mind that. They're going to 5-man smoke up. AC was just picked up on FBZ, so a bit more bonus armor towards his side. And in fact, Talon, a big wraparound with the Moonlight Shadow now. Towards the Dire Outpost. Keep in mind, there is decent vision here for Talon. In fact, they are underneath Sentry Vision now. Tims is going to be spotted out. Nice load of Sorb onto KB. They might find the Marcy, and they will still. Tims does go down. A 1-for-1 favoring Boom Esports, and now the full team fight does begin as Savage is already gone. Meanwhile, Q, he could try for the BKB TP, but he can't even do that. The bash is there from Jackie into another. They'll find Hyde. 4 down for Talon already. And it doesn't feel like Boom even broke a sweat.
No, it takes so much commitment just to lock down Tims. The Lotus Orb buys enough time that they manage to find that kill on KP. Can't escape that one. And the high ground push is just open. There's no defense that you can feasibly pull out just with Alina. Mikado trying to get a split push going down bot, but they're going to lose what looks to be 2 sets of racks. Mid-range racks gone. Onto the top they go. With the damage of Jackie and Yopaj, this is not going to take too long for them to achieve.
What is that, John? Well, what's that I just saw? Aghanim Scepter on Yopaj Tiny. Here we go. My favorite.
All right. It's spicy. Yopaj is going to have a lot of damage flying out. That's for sure, especially if he manages to get that Daedalus. I do miss the days of that Morphling combination, but I mean, you've got to find a way to jump Yopaj. You've got to find a way to lock in Jackie. It's so much riding off the back of Q. He's going to have a blink. But again, it's just taken so long for Talon to hit this point. With the Aegis Shards going the way of Boom as well, the secondary life. Again, high ground is such a great possibility for Boom, and there's really just not much threat stopping them yet.
No, absolutely not. Boom. They'll get the Aegis, they'll get the Shards for themselves now. I believe the Shards going towards Yopaj, and Jackie naturally will take the Aegis for himself. Oh man, I do hope we get to the point where that Daedalus is up on Yopaj. I really do miss the tree volley with the crits just flying out everywhere. Just impossible to try and fight against. Still Talon. Again, not out of this game yet, but they are kind of desperate. 17k behind. They need a miracle. I think that miracle does kind of lay in the hands of Q on this Enigma. Problem is, he's still just short of the BK Blood. The Blink Dagger is Savage. Orchid up, trapped up already. They just take him down. Yopaj, he's really messing around now, John. He could have gone Avalanche Toss, but no. I've got to throw the trees instead.
Yeah, you got to use that X. You paid for it here, Mikey. Got to see what it does. And of course, they've always got the X push coming out, so not the highest commitment required to take these objectives. They still have the Black Hole threat. Blink is up on Q. They've got to find something on Talon. I'll do the arrow.
KP disposes there. Keep in mind, secondary life on the Bloodseeker, but there's your Black Hole. Q, he's caught 2 of them. That'll be Tim's gone for 1. Jackie, he will lose that first life. A curse out now, though, holding down Savage. Can they follow up on this? Yopaj, he's in with an Avalanche Toss combination. Q's down. Savage held down as well. He will drop to the Tiny. There's now KP. Or Yopaj just sticks it right up him with a massive tree, as they do call the GG. Talon can't do it for game 2. But luckily for us, Jonathan, we get a game 3 between these 2 juggernauts of SCA. And John, can I just ask, is it you wearing the jerseys that's buffing up these teams, or is it my terrible predictions that's buffing up these teams?
Could be a mix of both, you know. Boom kicks it into gear. It doesn't even look like a game Talon can play at all. Of course, Talon, for their part, they go back to... They go for this ultra greedy draft. Marcy offlane with an Enigma that doesn't do much. They couldn't stop Jackie from farming. They couldn't even give him a challenging lane. That was just pretty much free farm for the Bloodseeker. And they just run from there. Boom hits his timing. They don't have long cooldowns to wait for. They run down. I think a big part for what made that tough for Talon was it was a much slower start for Mikado. Like our Lina got BKB, didn't have travels, couldn't really run around and try to make plays, and because of that, no one was setting plays from Talon. So they just farmed for basically the entire 4 minutes and couldn't do much. Boom. They just, again, play this aggressive style that they're known for, go back to the Mirana Kunkka combo with FBZ this time, and have Yopaj pop off in mid, and you couldn't do much about it on Talon's end.
Look, we just asked before we do head off to a short break, John, what jersey are you wearing for Game 3? There it is. Everyone get the copy pasta back up. We've got JohnXfire on the way for game number 3. With that, we are going to head off to a very short break. And right after that break, we'll have Game 3's draft between Boom Esports and Talon Esports. We'll see you there.